how it worked to Charles Manson. They explained that how they were planning to cause a race war at the close of the age to prove a point about their control over the masses using the media. So they told him about his opponent, who was going to get an army of melanated men, and he was to get an army of pale-skinned men, and they were supposed to go to war with each other. So now they setting them up, and while they setting them up, remember, all of this time Charles Manson's supposed to be on parole when he's forming what's known as the Manson family. And Joseph SikApe haven't got out of prison yet to start building his army, but he's on his way home. Okay. So Charles Manson, in turn, after learning all of this shit from his handler. Now, for those who remember Jim Jones in Guyana, the handler for Charles Manson was also Jim Jones' CIA handler. You got to remember that. Now, Jim Jones was taught mind control by the same exact individual who taught mind control to Charles Manson and Mr. DeFreeze, Joseph SikApe. So once this is done, they see Charles Manson building his family, but he's telling them everything that these motherfuckers is planning under a banner of some shit called Helter Skelter. Helter Skelter then becomes a moniker synonymous with what we call anarchy, right? And then you have the anarchist cookbook that's telling you how to fight the government and how to prepare and all of this stuff for government tyranny. So while Charles Manson teaching these kids this shit, he's not doing what the fuck the CIA told his ass to do. Form an army, attack the niggas. So Charles is telling the story to the Manson family about the government's plan to, CIA was a medical experiment, Jonestown. Yep, that was Jim Jones was the manufactured Messiah type. This is how they always know if a person professing to be the Christ is telling the truth or not. If he a man, he automatically a fraud. The Christ is a female. So they all know this, but you don't know this. So since you don't know this, you don't know that David Koresh don't look like the Christ image that they gave you, because the Christ has always been the queen of heaven and earth the whole fucking time. That shit's never changed since the foundation of the universe. Why in the fuck would it suddenly change now? The Christ is only going to be the same motherfucker every goddamn time she come back, because it's always at the close of the age where she comes to see the development of her youth. You got to be wiser than the goddamn serpent and meek as a lamb, but you got to be strong as a gorilla. And here I am, ready to dribble these motherfuckers up and down the court. So Charles Manson, seeing in the eyes of the government, was not that he didn't start the war. He's telling these motherfuckers the whole fucking plan. He's telling these girls the whole fucking plan. Now you got to look at who is these girls he's telling the plan to, and why do they give a fuck that he's telling the plan to these girls? Well, one of the things is this. He's telling these girls who's drifters, wanderers away from home, trying to escape their well-to-do parents, right? Trying to escape their well-to-do parents. And in the process, they running into Charles Manson on this expensive ass ranch. Now remember, the nigga don't got no job. He don't even got no job. So they say that this man was letting him stay in the barn, but ain't nobody never showed us who this man was that's supposed to be letting him stay in the barn. Right? Now, when they see that Charles Manson is drawing the following, what they do? They send some guy named Tex in to infiltrate. And Tex was the one who told the girls that Charles wanted somebody dead. At no time in any of their testimony, the police, the girls, anybody, Charles, nobody at any time ever said Charles Manson killed anybody. But now, when you look him up, they list him as one of the most vicious serial killers in history, right? And from listing him that way, they also declare him as insane, right? So now, then they label him as a racist. Now, he a serial killer, insane, racist. All the time, he ain't told nobody to kill nobody, but they blame it all on him because now they can use that as the pretext to take him off the street for not doing what the fuck they told him to do. Start the fucking race war. So Joseph Sinkyu get out and he starts snatching the same demographic of youth that Charles attracted to build his Symbionese Liberation Army. Right? Now, why did he choose them? Because he had to feel some kind of way like we was being used to fight somebody else's war. So why won't we use their kids to fight our war? But the philosophy of Symbionese is a symbiotic relationship, two things which rely on each other for both of them to survive. Right? It's called symbiosis. And in the process, if they can learn to survive together, it keeps both species alive. And he said that his interaction with so-called white America required him to establish a relationship with white America and to form a symbiotic relationship to survive off of them the way that they survive off of us. So he decided instead of using his people, he would use their people to fight the war. Right? So the whole time, they not formulating the army to facilitate the helter-skelter race war propaganda that they wanted Charles to push in the so-called white community. Now, you got to remember, time-wise, what else was going on in this time frame? We had the Weather Underground, who was making allegiances with the Black Liberation Army, who had absorbed the most militant Panthers who had defected after they realized how thoroughly infiltrated the government had infiltrated the Panthers. Once this took place, they turn around and now all of the influential characters in the community, they COINTELPRO activate surveillance and takedown. And when they say takedown, it's whatever it takes to neutralize your influence in the community. They full throttle COINTELPRO, do what's necessary, from the murder of David Barksdale to the murder of Angel Bay's right-hand man, Big Bull, to the murder of Mickey Caldwell, from the murder of Raymond Washington in L.A. The list is endless of the people that they have had murdered because there was no other way for them to remove them from the community or to reduce their influence by nefarious means. So when you can go to New York, it's the same thing there. Baltimore, it's the same thing there. Boston, it's the same thing there. In Newark, it's the same thing there. Miami, the same thing. New Orleans, Atlanta, right? Little Rock. All over the land, it's the same infestation, right? Yep. So we talked about J. Edgar Hoover cross-dressing, flippity-floppity ass, passing for motherfucking something that he wasn't. So he was one of them who was loyal to the motherfuckers that they called JDL. These are motherfuckers who's executing all of these hits on like Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, Donny Hathaway killed himself. Yeah, right. It's a song for you, motherfucker. So we sit here and we watching what they doing. And so Manson never gave an order for nobody to kill anybody. All he ever did was warn you about the nefarious plans that the government told him with one of their top agents, what they was going to do and what they needed him to do and why they needed him to do it. And so now we calling him a serial killer, but he ain't killed nobody. We calling him a racist for stopping a race war. And we calling him crazy because he said that before the black man was in your cities, the black man was God. When he was in this native form, he called it the jungle. That's a gorilla knock to me. The Congo. The Congo is the jungle, and the Congo key is the gorilla key, and the gorilla key gonna forever reside with me. You need to bump straight, bro. I ain't really trying to kick it with you till you bump straight. I'm not sure about a man from the Congo split an atom in modern times, but it's always going to fall back on the primate key. Right. So we're looking at gold key, silver key, solar key, lunar key, going into the sun cycle, father right to rule, right? But the father right to rule has to be accompanied by the mother right to inherit, silver key. Yeah. I told you, bump straight. I'll let you if you bump straight. Till you bump straight, and I ain't got no kicking this. You got to show me something productively positive in the betterment of the community for me to entertain your bullshit. Hey, look, the message from Big Mama was it's time to get motivated and activated. So now we got to start figuring out what do the mobility look like in order to manifest it. Hey, I use exercise to focus my energy so I can harness the rage and use it first to build who I was. And then once I learned how to use it to build my body, then I could translate the same burning of the energy to focus my mind and use the rage as the building block. That's the fire to keep all of this shit together. The rage. That's why I don't mind motherfuckers say, "You're an angry black man, ex-con." Yep, that's exactly accurate as can fucking be. The rage don't go nowhere. It's that I find things that make my heart glow, that make the rage subside long enough for me to control it, right? So when I realize what the fight is all about, it's family business, there's no more room for the rage to override the glow. So now I can control it. But it's still there, and I still want to unleash this shit on a motherfucker's ass. But Big Mama said, sit your ass down and do what the fuck I tell you. And I'd rather listen to Big Mama than to follow my instinct to go for the drama, because I'll be in some real fucked up places right now, doing some fucked up shit to some foul motherfuckers. But the ability to see through their games and their bullshit requires a different viewpoint in order to look at the problem and explain the problem in a manner in which you know how to correct it. How you know who need to go. Then you know who to watch in order to find out who they connected to. Half of them, you take the adrenochrome from them and give them the premise of some adrenochrome is like a crackhead with the premise of some crack. They're going to tell you where everybody at that's involved that they know of. And then they're going to tell you the ones that they think might be involved. Just let them hit that adrenochrome one more time before you cut it off for good. That shit, motherfucker, make the motherfucker start singing like goddamn it, the Temptations. Or Teddy. Spinal fluid. I tried to let the brother come in. I don't know if they're going to let him in. I don't know. We'll see in a minute. There's another question. Look, the change in the timeline is so subtle, we're not noticing it. We're not noticing it at all, but it has been shifts in the timeline. It's been shifts in the position of the electromagnetic pole. When it's snowing in the desert, right, this is how you know that the magnetic field is changing its position, because it's causing the reverse phenomenon to take place. So yeah, they had snowed in Texas where it don't normally snow, especially like that. Had Texas in the deep freeze last year, right? It's the same thing they had Saudi Arabia in the same huckabuck at the same time. That's because the energy on the it's like electricity. It's following the path of least resistance. And when the electromagnetic field begin to move through the earth, you're going to see the effect in the atmosphere, because the atmosphere is affected by the frequency and the vibrations of the earth. So the amount of water that evaporates from the oceans and lakes, and the positioning of underwater rivers or underground rivers that you don't even think exist. So you can end up going into a river sinkhole in Michigan and come out in the motherfucking Pacific Ocean going through an underground river, but they spring up now in the desert. So these are signs that the grid is shifting, and they'll tell you that the tectonic plates are moving, but it's not the plates this time. It's the electromagnetic field. Now, we are under what's called a Schumann resonance in the frequency of the earth right now. We need to flip the grid to a Shu and a Tefnut resonance. And if you go to the Egyptology, you'll see the physics of it is in the hieroglyphics and how it functions. You can be functional in this world and at the same time doing a meditation while you performing a function.
Yes, sir. I received that.
Right. Yeah. So you learn that through learning like Tai Chi.
Yes, sir.
Tai teach you to how to meditate and move at the same time. Also, Qigong teaches you how to meditate and move at the same time. That way you can go about your daily affairs and still get your meditation in the middle of the day. You don't have to sit still and stop your life to meditate.
Of another nothing
You need to go through all your screenshots, organize them from all the homeopathic remedies to all the spiritual remedies to all the information about the history and everything. I need to sit down with a notebook and just write it down and organize it and get to it. Like writing it down is going to imprint it in my mind for me to memorize it anyway. And whether you're an audio visual learner or a doer where you have to learn it, it's going to be imprinted. You have to exercise that muscle. So spirit's like, don't take another screenshot. don't post. And then another thing too is social media makes us feel like we're doing the work, makes us feel like we're doing some type of work when we take a screenshot or when we post something on our stories or when we regurgitate something, or even if we say a download. And it's like the actual work is in the living. Yeah, you have to do the emotional and spiritual work, but you got to live after that.
But every now and then you told to be still so that the
Oh
energy
yes,
can catch up. The
I feel like
energy
I'm
has
being
to
called.
the energy has to catch up to you.
Yes,
Because
sir.
you can outwork the energy where when it do come in, it come in and knock you off your feet.
Yeah. Oh, I
It's
hope
like
it
a
does come in and knock me off my feet. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. No, I'm not, universe.
you knock me off of my feet now, mama. Yeah. So right now, a lot